Hello, everybody, and welcome to our latest Sparring Partners. And today we have a topic that I've been thinking for, many years. It's a real central part because which is how we bring the enterprise to the fold. And clearly, the enterprise is the area of biggest potential for growth, or at least that's what I think. And yet, the networks are there. Everybody wants to do it, and yet we're incredibly slow. And so today I am talking to Caroline Chan at Intel. She is VP and GM of Telco AI Network and Edge Group. And I've known her now for a very long time. And she's been working a lot on the RAN but also she's been working with all sorts of enterprises. So not only she knows the telecom side, but she has direct experience on the ground with all the enterprises. So what we're going to talk about today is how can we get the enterprise to buy in and use all this network infrastructure that we have, all the technology that we have. And why is it taking so long? So, Caroline, thank you so much for being with us today. It's a great pleasure.
No, thank you for inviting me. I think this is a topic that you and I talked about, banter about in the past, and it's a source of frustration for many in the ecosystem. 5G was built intentionally to enable beyond the consumer SIM cards business. And a lot of CapEx spent, a lot of technology invested. Now that we're seeing AI, especially the inferencing part, started taking hold in different verticals. I think this is a topic that we can no longer delay. We have to find a way to really get all the enterprise CIOs, CEOs, CFOs especially, to participate. Because I truly believe, I know you do too, because since we talked about it, that a rich, secured 5G and the future 6G network is essential to allow a secure AI to truly proliferate into different verticals, especially when we talk about the fact that we're going to need inferencing beyond training. I think I've read somewhere that 75% of the future AI traffic will likely be inferencing on the edge. With that, I think the network that we have built, the network that we will be expanding and building and upgrading, will be essential. So it's time that we talk about this thorny topic.
No, absolutely. And one of my frustrations in this whole sort of as you talk about this issue, is that oftentimes what we do in telecoms, because we look at it from a technology point of view, because that's what we're good at,
Yeah,
right?
guilty
Um,
as charged.
yes. And is that you say, okay, well, when we had 4G, it's like, no, that's not good enough. We need 5G. And then we need network slicing. And then we need, and now maybe we need 6G. And so we kind of feel like we need to have the next technology
Hmm.
to enable this. But I think that it's increasingly clear, and now with AI, obviously that's the other issue. Um, but it's obviously to me, it's clear that technology is not a bottleneck here. We have more technology in a way and more good networks. They're not perfect, but they're good to meet the demands of the enterprise. And yet, it's not. So it's that we're not there. So my sense is that it's not really a technology. It's not like we don't have enough technology. We just do not have a good I would say it's not like we don't have the ecosystem because we have all the players there. It's just that they're not working together in a way that is conducive to uh, real wide uptake from the enterprise. So, can you tell us what is it you're seeing in that respect? But first of all, do you agree, or what is that you're seeing in this respect?
Yeah, I agree with the slow uptake, and I agree that we, as a industry, we are way too focusing on technology that it solves. Technology should solve everything. That's our belief. Uh, which now, if I look back at the bruises that I've incurred, and I've been trying to do this for the last three years, and it's been frustrating. I think sometimes there was, I think one example we've had is we actually had I've personally experienced having um, a factory leaders and owners, and wanted to automate the new production line. So I was just pointing to, oh, I know the person, So I introduced a company that with the top-notch technology, US based in private 5G. But the first meeting went poorly because of the language that we speak are completely different. When the partners start talking about the roadmap, 5G beyond, uh, the speeds and feeds. I can cover every corner of your factory and so on. But the factories really worry a lot more of other things. Is there business problem? Is there production quota? Is there OSHA requirements? Yes, between every shifts, there is a report needs to be filled out by the previous shift and transferred to the next shift. We almost like we all speaking English, but we are actually not speaking the common language. So eventually, the project was significantly slowed down. Eventually, what happened was a SI with vertical experience. In this case, it was a managing director of an SI that focusing on manufacturing, not telco, that step in and able to bridge the conversation. Obviously, the telco language, the requirements of the manufacturing get translated into what that kind of network needs to be. It's not always the best, fastest network solve the problem. It's not always the case. There are myriads of other requirements we have to translate. It took a long time. It's now in place and it actually works really well. It became a model production line. But the process it took, it frustrates everybody. Why
Yeah.
should it take so long? Everybody say, why did it take so? Why didn't you, like they were saying, why are you taking so long? Versus our ecosystem, well, why don't you just sign us a purchase order and get it over with? So that is a frustration that we have to overcome.
Yeah, and I guess it's really frustrating because, from our side, like we have everything is ready to go. You just need to, as I said, you just need to sign the purchase order and you're good to
Yeah.
go. But that's not the way the enterprise sees it. So when I work with with the enterprise on the enterprise side, they would just basically comment like, this guy's, I mean, like working on transportation, for instance. So these
Hmm.
guys know nothing about trains. So the company that eventually got the deal was the company that actually knew trains.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know trains, you don't know, I mean, well, you need to know both. But if you don't understand what the issue was, like in this case was like if the antenna is too tall, it doesn't work. So it's
Hmm.
just a very kind of boring if you're detailed, but we kind of need to, as I say, we need to learn the language. But ho- and I would say we also need to learn to listen to what is that, the constraints are. Uh, how can we do that? Because it seems like oftentimes we just go on and it's like, oh, we have 5G, we have this or that, and that's completely I wouldn't say irrelevant. It's important conceptually, but it's not a good message. It is not
Yeah.
the way to go in terms of bringing them in.
So like we did we did have a success with a cross-functional consortium. For example, the utility companies, I think this is North America only, I could be wrong, form a consortium called Utility Mobile Broadband, UMBB maybe, association that Intel joined as advisory. It's all the utility companies in North America forming this consortium, inviting various different partners to come in because the mandate was how do I use mobile broadband to advance the improve utility performance, best cat best, and so on, allow them to adopt the technology faster. I thought that was a very good example of a industry that sees the needs of introducing 5G, 6G, edge compute to their industry, but know that they don't know enough. Form a consortium, invite partners. Intel became a partner. So we have a technologist became advisor to them, helping them, explaining what the technology can do, helping them to draft RIP, RFI, that kind of things, right? So it almost like it helps that industry moving forward. Eventually, they were able to do POC. The goal is to have a blueprint, maybe multiple blueprints for different type of energy utility company to adopt. That's one example that with upfront investment, a cross-functional, cross-vertical consortium that help move the industry forward. It benefits everybody, the buyers, the sellers, and all the service providers in the middle. So that's one example I could see. Now, Monica, things got even trickier now because people are talking about, bring inferencing to the edge. Intel, for example, our own manufacturing plant are using this, are doing this. Our new plants are fully equipped with private network, with compute, and with edge AI. So uh, our team on the ground, because we are helping them. These are not like our division doing it. It's actually our CIO, our manufacturing division is doing it. So we're helping them. We're the consultant helping them to do that. But if you look broader to other industry, the other manufacturers who are not, the high tech semiconductor side of it business, how do we help them? So I've been thinking, like I was sharing with you yesterday, I had a 2 hour meeting with the energy company. They're interested in getting into the edge data center side because they've been told by the Texas grid that the power requirements, because of all the proliferation of AI data center, would double. We're sitting at 2025, would double by 2030. So that's a tall order. Remember, the state of Texas is not the best at generating power meeting demands in the summer for AC. So we have multiple horror stories coming out. So
Yeah.
now people are panicking. What do we do with all the data centers popping out to handle AI? And what do we do with the people wanting the data center closer to them for inferencing? So there's a lot of conversation around that. So I had a 2 hour meeting with them and explaining they're the one educating me. What does it take to generate 400 megawatts of power in the 3 acres of land? What does it take for permit, for not just technology? A lot of things is regulatory.
Absolutely. So there is the regulation part. There is increase in demand, and in the
Hmm.
case of utilities, but I'm sure other verticals as well, is that for instance you have more renewable, so you have more sources of power generation, and so it's inherently the network becomes more complex.
Yes, a lot more complex. And then the
Yeah,
players' roles uh, also change. So
exactly.
like if we're gonna do this in the before, like the world that you and I familiar with, you have the OEMs, you have the software vendors, and you have the operators, you have the silicon providers. It's You can draw that picture out. The Lego piece everybody needs to fit in. Now you have a new set of buyers. So the AT&Ts and T-Mobile and Verizon are selling to different sets of buyers, and those buyers have different buying criteria. And then we have to bring in new players into the ecosystem. What's the fastest way? Not to mention AI, you have even
Yeah.
more bigger, broader ecosystem. So we need to do a better cross-functional consortium. As you're aware that I do have served in a consortium called TIP, a telecom infrastructure project. I'm a president of that. We are looking at, can we play a role to bring that piece together? The network is no longer just a network to power your cell phone, your tablet. The network becomes a important piece of the future if we wanted to have a more efficient, automated system to run all of our verticals. Can we play that also? We actually having conversations quite a bit. We recently have AWS joining us on a board member, bringing another perspective from the cloud side. I think it would take this kind of cross-functional players getting together with a common goal and understand a mission that we all agree that we need to get to. And now look, there is a deadline. You know, if we wanted to achieve bringing manufacturing uh, onto a developed countries, cost you have to deal with, power consumption you have to deal with. You have to have enough energy to power all of these. Now that you know all the problem statement, we need to have a common mission statement that we all work together on that. I think not one company can solve all the problem.
Yeah, and the question is that so we need to learn to work together even more. I think that this has started already. I mean, TIP
Yeah,
has been around for a while, but
yeah.
I guess that we need to move it kind of to the next level where we need to, because connectivity is going to be, so any effort in terms of automation, which is, if you want to do a new manufacturing plan, it has to
Mm-hmm.
be automated. In order to be automated, you need good good
Good
connectivity.
network connectivity.
It's
Yeah.
just not an option.
Yeah,
So,
and you need compute on the edge. That's
yeah,
another one. You need to be able to be evergreen and handle what the future AI workload that comes in. So you need to be very flexible,
yeah,
upgradable. So it is it's way more complex. That's why we've had manufacturing companies coming to us for help. Uh, two weeks ago, I spent a day in Washington D.C. at a roundtable with most of the major manufacturing, pharmaceutical, uh, your fiber manufacturer. These are steel manufacturer, all coming together in a roundtable. Their goal was understanding what AI would do to them, help them, but at the same time, there's also risks that introduce to their world when they introduce AI. And I was one of the invited speaker, and I share with them what a fully rich, connected, secure 5G is a secure network compared to many others, and how can we be a part of that? It was a solid whole day of conversation. I walked away knowing, realizing I really did not have a good understanding of the problem these manufacturers
mhm.
face. And I hope that I was able to share some of my knowledge and ease some of their concerns. And we'll have a follow up conversation over Zoom. But it takes that type of uh, honest and open conversation to have. I only wish that we have more participant in that roundtable. I wish we had broader beyond. But it's a good start. It's a very good start. It was hosted by National Manufacturing Association. It was I thought it was one of the best use of time that I
Yeah,
had.
and I think that this is an absolute the sort of the first step to success is exactly what you said. You need to acknowledge that we are not from telecom's point of view,
Mhm.
we have a lot of learning to do so that
Yes.
we can, because if we go in and say this is the product we're selling you, that we're not going anywhere. I mean, that's not good
Mhm.
enough.
Mhm. That's
Now,
not the point that we wanted to convey, right?
exactly. But we need, in order to convey a different and more richer message, you need to understand what their pain points are. So maybe why don't you tell us, what is that they were talking about? I mean, what is it they saw as their big challenge that in a way that relates to what we do in telecoms?
Well, number one, everybody's concern is the security, cybersecurity. With AI, you do introduce unknown to their system, and the concern was that they probably expose some of the vulnerability. So that is something there was other people in the table to discuss. The other thing is that they have a knowledge gap. In other words, they are workforce. Would they be able to uh, skill enough to manage this new world that is AI infused? And so there's also conversation around it. And then the other one that I proactively bring up was that you need good connectivity, and everybody acknowledged that. So they sort of take that for granted, uh, but knowing that they will most of the plans go through reconfiguration because of different product comes out and 5G wireless network, I should say, either Wi-Fi or 5G becomes a very uh, much more flexible way than what they used to, which was a wired environment. And because they not acknowledge, like, because one of them was a pharmaceutical company, and their SKU that they are manufacturing are changing, much more complex,
Hmm.
especially with the onshore of many of these manufacturing back to the North America. Um, so and then the unknown, so cost is obviously a big one. How do we handle the new economic model when they have to invest significant capex upfront, including this? So um, regulatory, is there any regulatory concern? um, it was like I said, it was, I think we started around 8 8:30 and 9 o'clock really started. We didn't get done until 4 in the afternoon. We actually had to just have a working lunch. I think they planned a nice lunch, but everybody said we don't have time for that. Let's just sit down. And it was it presented more issues than I was aware of, but it was a good start. At least people open and frank and say this what we need to do. So they weren't coming in and say I need 5G. They were coming in and say I know AI is coming. I know I need an autonomous network, but I need to manage it. And what other factors that will impact my cost implementation? And also everybody's looking at, well, have you done this? Is there a recipe? How, if I wanted to do an RFP today, do I know who can I talk to? You see the complexity of problem. It's almost like a new horizon they have to deal with, and then and like what I remember one person said, well, I'm not going to be able to compete to hire a Harvard, I mean, MIT or Carnegie Mellon or Stanford PhD in AI. I said, well, that's not the point. I don't think everybody needs to do that. By the way, Microsoft was in present, AWS was present, Google was present, everybody, so there is a ecosystem that we can help you. But the ecosystem, which is ourselves included, need to put ourselves in a better position, needs to provide a better answer. We need to have at least a ready-made blueprint, several, to meet that requirement. It was clear at the roundtable, people were still figuring it out.
Yeah, I think that, everybody understands that there is a sense of urgency, need, and ability to actually deliver. I think that
Hmm.
we can deliver more than we do in general as a overall ecosystem. But let me ask you, so, okay, so you talked about utilities, pharma, would be anything else. How specific should the blueprint or whatever you want to call it or the efforts be? So you need to have a consortium for utilities, or is just for electric utilities, but then water is different, or how do we go? How do we think about it? Because, like, for instance, tip is just across verticals. But then do you imagine that at tip you're going to have different groups for each vertical, which would be probably more than tip can manage?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how do we deal with that, the one to many?
Yeah, that's a very good question because clearly we can't scale uh, like that. So the role, like the folks like Deloitte, Accenture, there are many others there, PwC and so on, would be very important because they clearly have different verticals. If I just go back to look at the hyperscalers today, most hyperscalers, I think all of them, there's a horizontal piece, obviously the cloud, but they all have vertical specialties that serve their customer because they're a little ahead of us, right? Because like all the hyperscalers serve different verticals. They already adopting the cloud principle, and they all have a special task force, people that are familiar with energy division, manufacturing. I even run into hyperscalers that have a precision agriculture division. So if I think for telco, if we can if we can find a way to do a blueprint that's 70-80% fits and then we partner with them, they then wind up customizing it for a particular vertical. We need to have a horizontal blueprint. Then we partner with, because I don't think as a telco we're going to be able to say, oh, I'm a farmer specialty, or I'm a critical infrastructure airport specialist. We need to partner with them, but we need to at least get ourselves in a position that we can provide a 70% ready blueprint that they can adopt the other 30 for their verticals. And imagine that every manufacturing we might do a little tweak here and there as well, right?
Yeah,
Semiconductor will be probably quite different than from someone that manufacture batteries, but you can tweak that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
But
let
he's
me
saying
say this.
now everybody had to start from scratch, just
Yeah.
not viable.
Yeah, and I think that, when you okay, I'll give you an example, like, we're network slicing, and then some
Mhm.
operators say, okay, we're just gonna sell this and this, and cool. But the thing is that really what they need, and it's really the way that they can understand it. So okay, but let me go back and ask the same question the other way around. Let's say you do utilities,
Mhm.
electric utilities, and some are big and some are really tiny, the rural ones, right?
Yeah,
They're not gonna, but I don't know how they operate, but I would imagine they're not gonna hire a major consultancy company to come in and help them. So, we also need to have solutions that will address the need of the small enterprise, which is actually most of them.
yeah. The SMEs, right? So
Exactly.
yeah,
How do we deal with them?
I have one example. Now, I have not dealt with the rural utilities, although UMBB is supposed to address that. To be truthful, I have not followed up to see how they do it, but I have had experience with agriculture side. So I was lucky enough to be invited to an event at the end of the COVID. Uh, to North Dakota, Fargo, North Dakota. And at the time, there was a consortium that they put together under the brand called Grand Farm. I think Microsoft was actually the one that started it. But we got invited, and they were trying to figure out how to do precision agriculture. Now, if you think about, like, there are large farm, but a lot of the farms are really mom and pop family run farms, especially in that part of the world. It was a co-op. The co-op of all of these, the grain co-op, the what I was told, the dairy have their own co-op, grain has a co-op, vegetables have a co-op. It was a co-op that why not stepping in and be the one. In that particular case, it was a Intel work with the OEM, produce a particular SKU that has a compute, so it gave them 5G connectivity, gave them compute, and the co-op put down the sensors, and the growers wind up paying, and I forgot the certain additional fee to the co-op, so they get connectivity and the data gets collected and gets analyzed and apply back to the seed company, the fertilizer company, so they can improve, because it was a drought situation in Midwest, uh, very significantly for quite a few years. So the seeds had to be improved to be more drought resistant. It was a really was co-op play a very important role, and the local universities. It was a North Dakota state, so they came in and provide a lot of the technology power behind it, and they're there. They understand that land. They understand that they have direct relationship with the growers, and but at the end it was a co-op that played a significant role. So I imagine it would be something like that when the SME that comes in, smaller entities, they can't do this on their own, but a consortium needs to provide them with a blueprint and the
Yes.
help. In this co-op made, in that case, co-op makes things much easier for the smaller growers to adopt technology.
Yeah. Okay, and that's a good model. Now, let me ask for a final question. We're kind of at the end. How do you see mobile operators or service providers, the network operators, dealing with this? Because you talk a lot about the hyperscalers. The
Mhm.
hyperscalers tend to have more an existing relationship with them. But clearly, the network operator is going to be at some point the mobile operator, or not, actually, not necessarily, but somebody that operates the network. Uh, do you think that they're doing the right thing? How do you see them playing in this area?
I think some of them are doing really moving towards that space now. Um, we I don't I obviously I'm hesitating to speak on their behalf, but we have, if I were going to look at the industry as a whole, the operator has a very important part, which is they own the spectrum, they run the network, um, and then the hope is that other the customers will wind up buying it. So we can either be the active players, like going out there and actually target different verticals, which I know some of them do have different key vertical uh, focus effort, or you partner with the all the players that I mentioned about, especially a lot of the global SIs or GSIs already have a different practice in different verticals. We form a partnership, so then we gave them the best technology we can, but not necessarily pushing down selling the way that we sell as a monthly plan to the consumers, but really leveraging the expertise already in the field through folks like the GSIs, and and together adapting the product better for the particular verticals. I think we can't be everything to everybody, but we do the best product that we have, but really packaging it um, really customizable, allows the GSI to come in and play a role that they always wanted to play, and they equipped to play that role. It takes a lot of Lego pieces to put together a pretty picture, a pretty model. In this case, I think that that model is bigger. The Lego pieces are more and the different shapes. So we need initially, I think we need to take some effort to orchestrate. Once it's orchestrated, I think we should be able to stamp it out. At least I hope so. Because this the telco industry definitely runs on scale. We don't do well when when we have to customize for everybody. That's not our strength.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think it's a so our time is up, but I think it was a very interesting discussion in terms of really looking at the
To be
reality.
continued. To be
Uh,
continued. We
yes,
might
it's to
find
be.
out this is not the right path, but we
Yeah,
need to keep
this
trying.
feels like step one. So
Yeah.
we should really, because the question is that how do we move forward? And I think that, you realize very well what the challenges are. And they're not, it's not as simple, let's just roll out more technology. It's
No.
really much more. And when you get the humans in it, even if there is a AI in the background, humans are still making the choices, and it's really
Right.
important to get
Right.
everybody on the same
The same page. Yeah.
on the same page. So Caroline, thank you so much. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you all for listening. And if you do like the podcast, do subscribe to